Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your friends in recovery.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Friends in Recovery Podcast. I'm your host, Jersey Ed, along with my two co-hosts, Tiff P. and Buckeye Bambi. We finally found a name for Bambi. Welcome, Buckeye Bambi and Tiff P. Ladies, before I go any further, I want to thank you two for probably one of the best shows that I've heard in a long time. Seriously. Okay. Last week's show, it was just amazing. It really was. You guys came from the heart, a lot of good questions, a lot of good information. And it wasn't kind of like a standard, let's go ABC, get through Z. You know how regimented I am, and we have to do it this way, that way, this way. And not that I'm saying it's not the right way to do it, but it was a breath of fresh air to watch you two ladies really go at it and just the recovery that was happening in that show last week. So I really, really thank you both for attending the show while I was away. And it was a really good show. How do you think you ladies did?
Well, when you asked me to do it, I was like, okay, finally. I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'm good. Right. And I was going to get all prepared and, just like follow the Jersey Ed show and, do my thing. You know how intense I get. Mm-hmm. Don't say intense to me, by the way, people, because that's a trigger word for me. Anyway, but I get really passionate about things. And so I don't want to screw things up because I'm very self-aware and hypercritical. And I didn't do that at all. I didn't do anything. I was like, all right, we're just going to do a real, authentic, live shoot from the hip show. Like, just here we are. And this is it, because I'm not ever going to be Jersey Ed. So,
no, we
did it. And I'm going to have to go back and listen to it because I haven't had a chance to actually listen to it after it aired. So we'll see. But I mean, we had great discussion. It went well. Nobody died.
No.
Nope.
And I'm so new that I don't even know what to do. So I just went with it. So
Bambi's like, yeah, I guess this is how we do it, right?
There was lots of interaction with the followers. So that was cool. I loved that and appreciated that. It was great.
And you know what, Tiff, you're right. At the beginning of the show, I stepped on because I was at a self-development, like a self-development type conference last week. And I was able to step out and just listen to the beginning of the show. And it was huge. There was a lot. I think there was at 1.7 or 8 people on Facebook Live. Now that's good for us because when Jersey Ed's back on the show today, there's 3 people on. So, and I think it's Tiffany, Ed, and Buckeye Bambi. So no, we got Corey on. We got, did I mention Corey? And did I mention who else? Tony
and
Tony.
Luke.
Yeah, Tony and Luke. So that counts as 2. But that's what I really wanted. So you guys, you know what? And we're going to talk about step 8 here in a bit, but that's what showing up is about. That's what recovery is about. We help each other out. I asked the ladies to go on and do it. We could have canceled the show and just not talked about Tradition 7 and just went on and on and on. But you guys stepped up and you did what you had to do. At the beginning of the show, there's some background stuff that we had to take care of. So that's why I had to jump on the show to make sure, but it all worked out well. The worrying, I'm a big worrier. My therapist always says, wait to worry, Ed, wait to worry. And I'm like, oh my God, are these girls going to do it? Oh my God, are they, yes, they did, Ed, relax. It was all okay. And I think that's some things that we have to take into our recovery, some things we have to take into our life. And we have to kind of just trust the process. Johnny F., I want to just give him a shout out. He asked today on Friends in Recovery, the Telegram link or Telegraph link. What is it? Telegram or Telegram? Telegram. Like he said, how do you let go and let God? Right. And I thought that was a great question because that was going to be my question of the week after I seen that this morning. I was like, nah, the girls are ready. They know what's going on. So, but that is a good question. I think we might have that for an up and coming show. But Johnny, that was a great question. And I think that's a really good question for our sponsors to answer, right? I think that's a really good
Yes.
question to sit down with our sponsors to answer.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's what we had to do last week was let go and let God. Because if you guys literally, you know how I am, Ed, I would have had 4 pages in a notebook, front and back, single space. And it would have came off as if it was a script and it wouldn't have been real. So we just let go and let God and it all worked out. It was a little cold in the beginning, but we got it rolling.
Yes, we
made
did.
it.
We did. Absolutely. So
Bambi
thank you,
did a
ladies.
great job.
Yeah.
It was
Had
fun.
great questions. It was perfect.
I always have questions. I'm so new. That's all I have are questions. I'm like Johnny. What's this let go and let God mean? You know?
I know exactly.
Yep.
Well, that's what I just wanted to touch on that. And I'd like to thank all our sponsors and our donors to make this show possible. And if you want to make a donation, you can Venmo us at Jesus. You can Venmo us.
You'll get a sponsor for indigestion.
That's right. Yes. Pepto-Bismol is our sponsor right now.
We're the next on the list, right?
Yes, exactly. You can Venmo us at Friends in Recovery Enterprises under business, or send a check to Friends in Recovery Enterprises, P.O. Box 1551. That's Johns Island, South Carolina, 29457. And that'll be in the show notes, correct, Bambi?
Yes, that will be in the show notes.
Good.
Along with 8 voluminous pages.
Yes, that Carl has to sort through. So
no more of that.
That's right. So Friends in Recovery is now part of the Fire Network. Guys, if you want to join the Fire Network, please send me an email at help@friendsinrecoveryenterprises.com. And I will tell you more about it. We'll get you an application out. It's free to join. It's going to live on our website, friendsinrecoverycommunity.org. That is up and running now. So go check it out. Carl has his hands on it. He is making some adjustments on there. And that website is up and running. So there will be a page on there for the Fire Network. And what it is it's just a bunch of people who are doing podcasts that want to get into a network of all their podcasts and share information, share guests, share topics, share whatever we can, and also share our audiences, because our audience is the same as Soberpod's audience. We're all looking to stay sober. Might be a little bit different, but there's a great need for all these podcasts. Tiff, you found us on a podcast, right?
Yes. And I like that we're able to access listeners all over the country.
Yeah.
You know, not
all
just
over the
in
world.
targeted. Yeah. And all over the world. Actually, we've been doing that for a while. Friends in Recovery has. But it's awesome that we now have access to a larger audience, and that's cool. And
absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome. So
absolutely.
Ed, aren't you speaking today for Friends in Recovery South Africa?
No, that would be after the show airs, unfortunately. But for Facebook Live tomorrow night, Sunday night, I will be looking. If you're on the page, I'll have Bambi or Stacy put up where it's going to be at. And I'm sharing tomorrow, Sunday night. So that's Fire Network, guys. And we will move on. This week's topic is step 8, like I said earlier, and stay tuned stay tuned. I'm rusty already. 1 week I'm rusty, right? Stay tuned for some great recovery. But real quick, why we're doing that, why we're moving on to the next part of the show. Tiffany's going to be reading out of the big book, Life Recovery, and the 12 and 12. Bambi is going to be reading the big book, 12 and 12, and the 12 step of what did I write here?
The 12 steps of spiritual journal.
Spiritual journal. And I'm going to do the 12 and 12 and the daily reflections. There's a good daily reflections in the book for the date that I chose. Anybody have any sober shout outs?
I don't have any shout outs for this week.
Okay. Bambi, anything?
Nothing new this week.
Nothing new this week. All right. That's okay. Guys, we want your sober shout outs. I know a lot of you listen to the show. The reason why I know that, because I get the stats and there's a lot of people listening to the show. Please, guys, send us sober, just a hello, just so we can mention you on there. You know, Sam B, Pam K.
It doesn't have to be a sober date. It doesn't have to be anything. Just send us something for a sober shout out.
Send us something. Help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. and make sure that you just say hello to us. And then, I answer all the emails. Just send us something. I answer all the emails and we'll say hello. I also want to give my cell phone number out. And I know this is crazy, but it's okay. I helped a couple people last week. They reached out to me. Jersey Ed's phone number is 215-694-1994. And I'll be up here on the screen. And also it'll be in the notes. And I know, Tiff, you give out your number too.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to give out a different phone number, the one that I have all the time.
Yep.
So my cell that I have on me personally all the time, if you need me, is 952-688-1970. And that will come directly to me. So
I want to just stop before we go into step eight, because Bambi, I need to recognize you, and Tiff, of course, you too, but Bambi, I need to recognize you. And I know we've done this in the past, but Bambi has stepped up. She's really turning up the Friends in Recovery Enterprises, the fire. She's turning up the fire, and she's really helping us out, the Friends in Recovery communities. She's doing a lot of behind the scene stuff. She's planning on some fundraisers. She's looking into a lot of funding for us so we can help people out even more than what we're doing on here. She's looking into a lot of different things. We kind of sat down with Bambi and kind of gave her the reins to kind of just be creative with things, and she's really doing it. So guys, stay tuned for some really good stuff that's going to happen in the next couple weeks. We're going to have a night with a bunch of guys, the three wise men. We're going to have a night with three wise men. It's going to be a fundraiser for Friends in Recovery. A lot of good stuff happening, shirts, you name it. We're going to get it together. So these are all in the workings, and it's just amazing what Bambi did as far as stepping up and kind of taking the reins of all this.
Ed, I gotta say, I thank you very much, but I have to tell you, I literally asked God the night before you called and asked me to start helping out. I said, God, I'm bored. Give me something to do. Seriously, that's so crazy. Yeah. And like the very next day was a call from you. So you know how we talked in step 7 that it's not in our time, it's in God's time. Well, listen, God listened right away that time.
That's right. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. And this was pretty quick. But that's what Friends in Recovery needed. And, we're taking the next step. And just like we helped Tiff, let's go all the way back to pre-COVID. We helped Tiff just by this podcast. And then COVID hit, and then Tiff helped us set up meetings.
Then I started taking on responsibility, and I don't have time. I can't anymore. And it's so refreshing. I'm so glad you are a blessing, Bambi. So absolutely, just know that you are a blessing, and it's not just about the service that you're doing. You truly are a blessing to all of us. So
it's a blessing for me because now Dr. Phil has a break from me.
There you go. That's it. And this is service work, guys. What Bambi's doing, what we're doing on here, what we're talking about. And again, I know we're supposed to be talking about the steps, but we have to talk about this stuff because this is how we fucking stay sober. This is why we're not out there sticking needles in our arms, fucking robbing old ladies, stealing cars, wondering how we can steal from our kids' college funds, right? All that shit does not happen in these 3 squares today. I can guarantee you that does not happen in these 3 squares today. And that's the only thing I asked for when I came into recovery is stop helping me. God, help me not to be a bad man anymore. And I didn't realize that I'm not a bad person getting good. I'm a sick person getting well. And when I realized that and I ran with it, shit started happening like you wouldn't believe. And these steps started coming through into my life. The promises started coming through in my life, and life just started happening. And early in my recovery, when I turned it over, when, like Johnny F said, let go, let God, right? And I know I'm on a soapbox right now, but you know what, guys? We have to understand that there's a starting point from everywhere to where we're at today. Just because I have 28 years and Tiff, you're at 4 years, Bambi 6 months. We all started right from the beginning, right where you are. If you're listening to this show, Corey, same thing with Corey. I remember Corey was, I don't want to go into it, but Corey, God bless you, man. You're an amazing guy. He's on here on our on our Facebook Live. So we love you, Corey.
Well, and this step is a huge
miracle.
catapult, another, like it's the cement that binds all of that stuff together that you just talked about. Because we did all the hard work already. And this one, it just really solidifies our long-term recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolutely. Yeah. And we'll get into that in a minute. I do want to tip quick update on meetings. They're still there, still going.
They're still there 2 times a day at noon and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we haven't mentioned it in a while, and I just saw it pop up on the side here on Facebook Live. Just remember, we still are doing the coin challenge. So attend any 30 Friends in Recovery meetings, and you will get that really nice, solid medallion coin that has Friends in Recovery Community on the other side. On one side, and on the other is Dr. Bob and Bill W. Yeah. So just do that, make sure you're hitting your 30 meetings and just let us know and we'll get your coin. And it's not consecutive. Any meetings you go to, once you hit 30, on your honor, we trust you. We'll send you a coin. It's an awesome coin. Yeah. Comes in a handy dandy package that looks just like a condom.
Yes, it does. A condom wrapper. That's right.
It's not penetratable. Just kidding. No pun intended. Anyway. So, and the other thing I was going to mention too is just, follow us and join us on Facebook. It's really important so that, especially with the Fire Network, so that we can get involved with more people and help more people throughout the country. That's what our dollars go to when we're sending in money, in the sponsorship dollars for production of the show, running these meetings, all these things. It's all going to good causes. And so join us and follow us on all the social media platforms. Just search for Friends in Recovery Community. And that's what I got, Ed. So back to the newsroom. You're in the newsroom today.
Actually, I am in the newsroom.
Yeah, you're in the newsroom today. You're not in the library.
Not the library. I was going to sit in the library today, but I was like, the peeps love the newsroom. So also, guys, give us a 5-star review, subscribe, like, and make sure you share this podcast, because the more you share, the more the message gets out. So here it is.
Question of the week.
Question of the week. Bam. All right. I like this question. When I sent this into our little text thread that we have for the podcast, the girls were like, huh? Like, really? Like, Bambi,
I was all good with it.
Bambi's like, can Tiff pick one?
Pick a question. Yeah, let Tiff
exactly. So I'm going to let the ladies pick the next 2 weeks. You guys have to come up with a question of the week the next 2 weeks. Okay.
No problem.
So this is my last question for the next 2 weeks. What is the best piece of advice you'd ever received? Like, I love getting advice. I love taking direction. I love information. I love little quotes, little, whatever, especially empowering ones, you know what I mean? And that's what that's why I like this question. So I'm going to start with you, Bambi. What was the best advice that you ever got?
Well, actually, even though I complained about the question, it was easy for me. So
okay, good.
I just did my very first share. I shared my story for the first time, and I had to even tell this on the story. One day I was driving home. I lived in Florida. My mom was in Ohio, and I called her and I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm studying for my finals. And now she was 85 years old before she passed. And I said, studying for your finals. I'm thinking, oh my God, my mom's got dementia. What the hell is she thinking? And I said, Mom, what do you mean by that? And she's like, Bambi Lynn, I am reading the Bible, and that is something you should do more often. And she always said, trust God. And so I have to say, I never listened, of course, not when I was in my teens, not when I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, but now I know that was the best piece of advice I could have ever received, is trust God.
Trust God, read the Bible. I think she threw that in there too. It sounded like
she did.
Yeah. Trust God, read the Bible.
Yeah, but she used to say, Bambi, just pray. Yeah. And I said, Mom, he doesn't listen to me. You have a direct line to God. You pray for me.
That's good. That's good. Tiff, how about you? What about your
this also was not hard for me. First of all, you are a much bigger person than I am, Ed, because I do not like unsolicited advice, because I am perfect and I can't do anything wrong. And so when you give me advice unsolicited, I'm very critical and very snappy to judge back at you. No, I'm just kidding. All right. I used to be that girl.
That's okay. No, it's okay.
I used to be that girl. Anyway, I also, I'm always writing things down, and I like listening, especially when I came from a career working with the elderly, because I was an administrator at a nursing home. So I got to listen to lots of good old tips and, tricks and pieces of advice that were really good. But my mom told me one time, she said, Tiffany, you never have to hang anyone. They'll always hang themselves. And
that is true.
It just, at first it didn't really resonate with me as much as it does today, and she's so right. You don't have to hang anyone. People who are doing wrong, and it's not your job, even if it's to you personally, to take them down or make anybody look bad. Just mind your own fucking business.
Yeah.
Take care of your side of the street.
Yeah. Because
they will always hang themselves. The job will be taken care of for you. It's kind of just like what Bambi just said. Trust God. And I do. I trust that that's going to be handled by somebody who has way more power than I do.
That's
and so
true.
if I just do my own good deeds and my own
great advice.
Then I don't have to hang anyone. They'll always hang themselves.
Amen on that one. And that's what recovery is about, man. We can either choose the good path or the bad path or whatever path you want. But if you're doing wrong, somewhere it's going to come out in a soup, man. It's going to come out somewhere. And like you said, give them enough of a rope. My mama, that's what we say down here in South Carolina. Yes, but I'm still Jersey Ed. My mom always said, you give them enough rope, they're going to hang themselves, and, but if you keep, whatever, but anyways, that is good advice. And that's good. I think that's good advice too, to take the onus off of ourselves, thinking that we're crazy, think that something's going on, just let it go, let God, like we were talking earlier. And eventually it's all going to come out in the wash, right? Eventually it is, no matter what.
And if it doesn't, it's none of your business anyway.
Exactly. And we have to have patience too. No,
it is not. Read the Bible more.
That's right. Exactly. So guys, my favorite piece of advice is more of a quote that I live by, that every time my phone dings at a text message, I say this to myself, right? I say it to myself. I need to know this because I'm one of those. My therapist always says, wait to worry. Like I said earlier, wait to worry, and I don't wait to worry. I assume, I go full force that I'm going to be, dead in 30 seconds, the whole crazy catastrophized thinking, but I'm working on it in therapy. Really. I am. So, but I didn't come this far to come this far. Right. That is one of my favorite things. And every time my text message goes off, or I hear the ding from a text message, I say to myself, I didn't come this far to come this far. And it calms me down because I really didn't come this far just to come this far. Right. I need to keep going, need to keep pushing. I know there's more out there for me. I know. And I don't mean like money or whatever. I mean, recovery. I mean, whatever it is.
Never quit.
Never quit. Yeah. And I don't push 100%. I do some coaching. I'm a personal development coach, and I always tell everybody, move the needle 3%, right? That's all we have to do. I don't have to move the needle 100%, because if I was going to move the needle 100%, I quit in a day. So that's Jessie Itzler always says this. I belong to one of his coaching groups, and thank you, Jessie. I appreciate it. Shout out to him. Put him in the notes. Maybe he'll put our show on his whatever. But Jessie is big influence in my life, and that's what he says a lot, is I didn't come this far to come this far. So, anyways, that is it. Let's see your questions on Facebook Live, guys. Email us your answers. At help@friendsinrecoveryenterprises.com. Email us and we'll read them out next week.
Comment below on YouTube. We love those comments on YouTube. That does us great works when you do that.
That's it. So step 8, ladies, I'm going to read the beginning. All right. And then I think what we should do is get a personal view of step 8 of everybody, what their view is, and there's no right or wrong answers. Just don't feel free to talk however you want to talk. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to read a paragraph or two and then talk about it, because this step is simple, but it's not. Like I say every step, but this step we can really, really read into. We're going to need the next 3 weeks to really get into this step, because it's a big,
intense step.
It is. It's a lot more than what we think. This is the one that
people are really afraid of when they really think they're supposed to be afraid of step 4. They're really thinking of step 8.
Step 8, exactly. 9. Yep. Step 8, made a list of all persons we have harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. So my thought on that is pretty easy. I can start writing stuff down. Well, not pretty easy, because if I've done this in the past, I've done it. I haven't done it in a while, and I'm up to doing this step almost with my sponsor. Just to let you ladies know, I'm going to give you an update. I just finished step 5 last week with my therapist.
Woo! Nice. Love it.
And I am telling you guys,
Don't you feel great?
Oh my God. It's been a while since I did a 4 and 5, and I feel amazing. Relieved of a lot of fears, relieved of worry, relieved of insecurities, relieved of just about anything. If you want to feel good, do 4 and 5. Seriously. Yeah. And I still have one more session to go with my therapist. I had to pay to do it, but you know what? I would have paid my therapist $1 billion to feel like I feel the last week. Seriously. Yes. So that's my update. It is. So now step 8, to me, writing that list down. Again, my sponsor says, do it fearless, not fearful. You have to do this fearless also, because you have to dig deep. And you know what? Ex-wives, one night stands, ripping people off, whatever it is, community, whatever it is. Absolutely. There's a lot of shit that we have to really dig deep into this. And there's a lot of good words in the 12 and 12. For me anyways, my sponsor said, Eddie, read this, read that step 8, and you're going to get a lot more out of it. You're going to get a lot more thinking out of it, because I said, Andy, give me I'm on a run yesterday, and me being who I am, Andy, give me the quick version of step 8, right? So I can take it on the podcast tomorrow.
So he said, read it, Eddie. So
yeah, exactly. He said, read it. So I'm not writing step 8 yet, but in the past, when I was writing it, it was hard. It was confusing. I can tell you that. Very confusing. Like, what the fuck, man? These people hurt me too. Fuck you, right? I'm not fucking apologizing to you. Nah, that's not how it works, guys. We're keeping our side of the street clean today, not theirs. They can do whatever the fuck they want with their side of the street. We got to take care of our side of the street. And that's what this is about. Step 8 and 9 is about keeping our side of the street clean. My synopsis on it, ladies.
Well, yeah, and it's not only about keeping our side of the street clean. It's just cleaning up that side of the street originally, from doing that step 4 and 5. This is where we're actually going, and we're making restitution to those that we maybe have to make restitution to. And it could be people, places, things, people's property. There's all sorts of different things, but it's going to clears our conscience. It lets us move forward on a clean slate. It shows you how to build relationships and rebuild and reestablish some relationships that are gone, right? And you just have a new level of respect for yourself and for others too, and really seeing where they are and how far they've come, through your journey of recovery. I've noticed that with my family when I did my step 8. Family, friends, all sorts of things. Like I said, I was my behaviors and my affected people and places and things in many different ways. And to be able to finally clear that, and especially clear it of my own conscience, the things that I had done personally, and forgive myself was so powerful and healing. And it allows me to do it on a daily basis now, instead of having to do it once in a lifetime, where I'm making up a whole list of people that I had harmed.
Well, that list becomes shorter too.
Well, and it happens far and fewer between.
It does. Yes.
It's pretty rare that I have to make amends and apologies on a daily basis anymore. But when I do my step 10 at night and review my day, that this is all part of it. This is the ongoing piece of step 8.
Yeah.
And but it all starts here, getting rid of it and starting on that clean slate.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Bambi, your thoughts on that? Again, we bring you on as a newcomer. So, questions or concerns or whatever. I mean, I think you went through a step 8 already, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
But
I have been through step 8, but working on, I love this podcast now because it lets me deep dive, and I listen to other, YouTubes and podcasts. And even now I'm like, oh my God, now I'm working on step 11 with my sponsor, but it's like, I can't wait to us to get back to step 8, because now I have questions, and now I have this podcast, so I can ask some of those questions here.
Absolutely.
Because when you're doing that step 8 initially, you have your step 4 kind of to go, which helps
guide you.
You have a lot of those.
You do.
You discovered your character defects, but things come up afterwards, that you didn't remember because you're doing that. Even if you do a thorough step 4 and you're going through the step 8, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, now that I've look at my own character defects on a daily basis, or try to, there's more things that I have. Well, should I have done this?
Yes.
That's
become way self-aware, right?
Yeah.
Your self-awareness.
So self-aware.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So don't worry. I have plenty of questions.
Good. Guys, I want to really say one thing here, is that a friend of mine says, like, you don't do the 12 steps and you're done, and you dust the book off and throw it away, and then life goes on and everything's perfect. You perfect house, perfect this, blah, 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 wife, husband, blah, blah,
there's
kids.
no graduation day.
That does not work. Perfect analogy for the steps in this program, in our recovery program. He says, Eddie, it's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. You start on one side, you work your way all the way over, finish painting that side, go back to the other side and start painting the bridge again. That's what it is. When you're done painting, whatever that could be, if it's 2 months, 2 years, 10 years, whatever it is, you got to go back to step 1 again and work the steps over again. Now you're going to work them differently, of course, in different parts of your recovery.
And hopefully you're working them with a newcomer.
Exactly.
Doing more service, and you're helping somebody else.
Yep. So we're going to read here real quick, a couple of paragraphs, a paragraph or two. We're going to talk about this, but I do want to, I wrote down
can I point out one more thing, Ed, quick?
Sure.
I just forgot. The ability, what I found most amazing in this step was I was anxious, and I was about rejection or people getting mad at me or things like that, what I was going to face. But the amount of forgiveness that I received was astounding.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
And that piece was very healing. The amount of forgiveness, it really restores your balance in such a healthy way that, your recovery just takes a catapult to the next step.
I agree. And the important part is, again, we have to do this fearless, not fearful, because that keeps us an open mind. And once we have that open mind, those things come in, exactly what you're just talking about, Tiff. It keeps us, it gives us an open heart, an open mind, right?
Yeah.
It's just
kind of that restorative balance,
Exactly. So I'm going to have the ladies read a couple of paragraphs. I'm going to share them, but I do want to point out one word, and I know it's a simple word, but I wrote this definition down for harm. So made of a list of all persons we have harmed, physical or mental injury or damage, right? Oh yeah, I harmed them. That's okay. Listen to that, guys. Physical or mental injury or damage. Physical damage, you break your arm, you fall, whatever, you get hurt,
break their property.
Yeah. That's that. The mental damage that I know I have done in the past when I was drinking, I don't know if I can ever make amends to that kind of higher kind of what I did. But I know, again, I have to keep my side of the street clean and be genuinely okay and honest that I am sorry for what I did, right? And put that person on that list. That's kind of
a living amends, right? That's you're living the step. It's a living amends. They see that you're doing these new behaviors, right? Those old behaviors of how either my words, how my mood, how my self-pity, how my depression affected others,
of course,
and their daily life, my anger, my fear, like you were talking about, is incredible. That's the emotional damage that we cause. And emotional damage. There's a lot of harm done there. But again, there's a forgiveness, lots of forgiveness in this step.
Yeah. And you know what? Not everybody, once we get into the ninth step, Not everybody's, and I know it's a little further, but not everybody's going to say, oh yeah, I'll put my arm around you. Okay. Everything's good. People are going to tell you to go fuck off maybe, and that's okay. It's not about them. These 2 steps are about us healing who we are and never to make that mistake again. That's what these 2 steps are about.
Well, and this is the first part of the step. Remember, this is the stuff you remember.
Yes.
In step 9, they're going to have an opportunity to tell you all the things that you didn't remember.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and you're not rebutting, you're not giving excuses, you're not even talking,
Nope,
you're listening and writing down.
That's it.
So, okay. And
That's
then
it.
you will make an apology, right?
That's it. Absolutely.
So, this is the easiest part of the step, is just at least being self-aware. Again, easy to use that timeline. If people
Yes.
who weren't with us from the beginning, start with a timeline from the time you were born, the year you were born to the year today, and write down where are all the homes that you lived in, where are all the schools that you went to, right? Just to jog your memory, frame of reference point.
The bosses, the wives, whatever. Yeah.
Jobs. And that's how you go through and say, okay, oh yeah, I remember I did that. I did this, I did that. Those are easy ones that we all have off the top of our head. But if you're going to be thorough, like Bambi said, then you start from the very beginning.
Deep dive.
Deep dive and think about how your emotional behaviors also affected others.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even just a dirty look at somebody, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How can we all relate here that somebody gives us a dirty look, especially a loved one, and it throws our whole fucking day off, right? And if we don't clean that up immediately, if we don't talk about it immediately, dumb bitch, she's fucking pissed off at me. What the fuck did I do? I took the goddamn garbage out. I did the dishes. I walked the dogs. I cleaned this. I did that. I, me, right? Really not about I, me. It's about my spouse or my loved one had a bad day, looked at me sideways, and here I go projecting into the future what the fuck I did wrong, right?
Someone cut you off in traffic.
There you go.
Then
That's
you
the other
piss
thing.
everybody off at the office when you get there, called yelling at your wife because it's her fault that somebody cut you off.
Yeah. Exactly. So we could go down rabbit holes with this, but that's how we stop it with this step and 9 and also 4 and 5, guys. 4 and 5 too. We stop that immediately. Do I go down rabbit holes? Yeah. Right. I'm always constantly dodging them and I fall in them once in a while, but I don't go so deep. Maybe ankle deep now, maybe knee deep. But I got people to pull me out. I don't have to stay in those fucking rabbit holes anymore. Like YouTube right on here, everybody, my sponsor, everybody who I talk to, I get pulled out of those rabbit holes. I ask for help. The steps are asking for help, guys. That's all they are. If you think about it, you're asking for help. You're asking another human being to take you through each and every step, so you can feel better about yourself, so you can live a good life, so you can move on and be a better person.
Spiritual healing from
spiritual healing. It's about asking for help. That's what.
And remember,
we're
transforming our new self. It's not the self that we really are. We're transforming, and this is all part of our transformation.
Absolutely. So you want to start reading Transformation on page 77 of 12 and 12, Tiff?
Sure,
if you'd
I
like.
will start.
Start the transformation
77.
now.
Okay. So steps 8 and 9 are concerned with personal relationships. First, we take a look backward and try to discover where we have been at fault. Next, we make a vigorous attempt to repair the damage we have done. And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, or cleared away the debris of the past, we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human we know. So I think we've already covered this. We don't really need to talk about that. So I'm going to go right on. But this is about developing the best possible relationship with every human being, not only the ones that we've harmed in the past, but every relationship, every life we touch going forward, including ourselves, right? Yep. This is a very large order. It is a task which we may perform with increasing skill, but never really finish. Learning how to live in the greatest peace, partnership, and brotherhood with all men and women of whatever description is a moving and fascinating adventure. Every AA has found that he can make little headway in this new adventure of living until he first backtracks and really makes an accurate and unsparing survey of the human wreckage he has left in his wake. To a degree, he has already done this when taking the moral inventory, but now the time he has come that he ought to redouble his efforts and see how many people he has hurt and in what ways. This reopening of emotional wounds, some old, some perhaps forgotten, and some still painfully festering, will at first look like a purposeless and pointless piece of surgery. But if a willing start is made, again, there's that word willing, right? If a willing start is made, then the great advantages of doing this will so quickly reveal themselves that the pain will be lessened as one obstacle after another melts away. I like that. One obstacle after another melts away.
That paragraph. Well, I would like to talk about that paragraph real quick. To me, that's a powerful paragraph. First of all, it's telling me that there's relief ahead. It's telling me that I don't have to feel like this, right? Also, it says here, to a degree, he has already done this when taking a moral inventory, but now the time has come when he ought to redouble his efforts to see how many people he has hurt and in what ways. So the relief that I felt on 4 and 5, I was just telling you, this is going to double that relief now. Once I get into this piece of things, right? And we don't know that because we're either running on fear, we're running scared. That's why I said at the beginning, we have to do this fearlessly, not fearfully. Because if we miss something, and again, we're not going to get it perfect, but if we miss something, it could make us not feel that cleansingness that we were looking for. And the relief that's going to give us is amazing. Like Tiff said, melts away. It just melts away.
Yeah. And my spiritual cup was full after this. That special something that I couldn't identify that I was searching for or seeking, that I knew I could see other people had, other AAs had, and I didn't. That little sprinkle and sparkle in their eye, I got it when I did these 2 steps.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tony says, this is one of the things I really have learned to apply in my daily life. I don't let the anger, cursing people out, take their frustrations on me at work. I let it go. Again, letting it go. This is about letting it go. And Johnny F., I know I'm bringing your name up, but this is how letting it go is this is part of letting it go. So Bambi, any thoughts on that paragraph? Did that stand out for you, or?
No, it really did, because the pain does lessen. And, it's such and I still have people to make amends to. You want to do it right
here and now? Come on in, everybody. We've got them here with us. No, I'm kidding.
but every single time, and like Tiff says, it's so scary, and you think that you're not going to get the response that you get. But so far, for me at least, overwhelmingly, it has been positive and supportive. And even people I feared, oh my God. And like I say, I still have amends to make, lots of them, but the ones that I have received has given me that relief that it promises.
And then it builds your confidence to move on to the next one.
The next one, correct.
Yep, the next one and the next one. Remember, we're just willing, like the paragraph said, we're just willing to start.
Exactly.
Willing to do it. Willing to make a difference.
And that's exactly what Bambi just said, Tiff. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I have to still make amends. She didn't say I'm done making amends. She said I still have to make some amends. I did step 8 and 9. Bambi said she's on 11, but I still have to make some amends. That's how the program works, guys. That is a good program that you're working, Bambi. And I know there's probably thousands and millions of other people out there in the same boat. And I like just that's how it works, guys. So Tiff, you want to keep reading?
Sure. These obstacles, however, are very real. The first and one of the most difficult has to do with forgiveness. The moment we ponder a twisted or broken relationship with another person, our emotions go on the defensive. To escape looking at the wrongs we have done another, we resentfully focus on the wrong he has done us. This is especially true if he has, in fact, behaved badly at all. Triumphantly, we seize upon his misbehavior as the perfect excuse for minimizing or forgetting our own. And I want to stop there because that's a big point.
Powerful.
Because, we can, it's again, like we've said, it's our side of the street. It's not about their behavior, like Jersey Ed was talking about. I don't care how poorly we've been treated or how they're treating us currently. We are cleaning up our side of the street, accepting our behavior, taking that learning experience, what we've learned, becoming self-aware, and turning it into assets for how we act in the future. It has nothing to do with their business. Remember,
Nope.
they'll hang themselves. We don't have to
Yes.
hang anyone.
Amen.
You know, that's easy when you think about like your loved ones, you know, because you love them and they love you, right? For better or worse, they have come to love you. But when you think about people like maybe business people or other people like that, it's harder to do because you're like, you know, they screwed me. And so, I lied to them, but look what they did to me. It's so hard to, and
the police,
they
took, you know, that people, I've heard people say, I can't forgive what they did. You know, those, you know, officers were protecting other people or whatever, and doing their job, what they're paid to do. And people are very angry and resentful because they got treated like crap, or they took their car away, or they, you know, whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's not, this is cleaning up your stuff.
And it says right at the beginning of this paragraph, it says the first and one of the most difficult has to do with forgiveness.
Yes.
And that's what we're talking about here. You have to forgive. It doesn't matter what they did to you or what you did to them, or what they're saying back and forth to you. You have to forgive and just let them go. And again, if they're going on and on and on about you, you just got to take it, right? I mean, you know, that's kind of how it's going to go, because then you can let it go.
It's funny that you just said that, because the next paragraph says, right here, we need to fetch ourselves up sharply. It doesn't make much sense when a real tosspot calls the kettle black. Let's remember.
Whoa. What the fuck is a toss pot? Okay. I read it this morning. I heard, I'm like, toss pot. I'm like, I don't even think it exists, but I'm sorry.
You know, it's a pot that you toss things in.
All right. I got it.
Let's remember that alcoholics are not the only ones bedeviled with sick emotions. Moreover, it is usually a fact that our behavior when drinking has aggravated the defects of others. We've repeatedly strained the patience of our best friends to a snapping point and have brought out the very worst in those who didn't think much of us to begin with. In many instances, we are really dealing with fellow sufferers, people whose woes have been increased. If we are now about to ask forgiveness for ourselves, why shouldn't we start by forgiving them, one and all? So, you know, looking in a likeness, a similar fashion, right? That towards every year, all humans, that they have problems too. They're not, you know, they may or be just as sick or sicker than me. Yeah. And you need to work on forgiveness on both sides.
Yeah.
Because again, it's not about cleaning their side of the street. No. It's about cleaning our side of the street.
Yeah.
But I want to look at people with compassion and realistically, you know, that doesn't mean I'm naive. Doesn't mean that I can be taken advantage of. It doesn't mean any of that crap. Right. But I can be realistic, right, about what they're, you know, that they also have a life and you know, daily things that they're going through, and they may or may not be just as sick as I am in one way or another.
And let's not forget, guys, the normies out there, they don't have this. They don't have a program where they can call somebody up and say, hey, listen, I have fucked up thoughts today, or I'm going to piss my wife off today just because I can. You know, they don't have those support systems. Some people do, you know, I have good friends, but we here in Alcoholics Anonymous with these 12 steps, we have a script for life. If this happens, do this. If that happens, do this. If this happens, do this. Right? I mean, I'm blessed to be an addict and alcoholic because I can come to this book. I can come to you folks. I can come to everybody in Facebook or everybody who's listening out there and ask a question. What do I do in this case? How do I do it? Why do I do it? Right? I don't think
in my alcoholic mind or addict mind is going to get it all twisted. So I get to go to a like-minded person and say, all right, my broken brain is in here being all fucking broken, trying to figure out an answer here.
Yeah.
You know, help me. What is the solution?
Life program. You know, this should be a life program for all people in my mind. Yes. I swear to you, it teaches you just how to be a better person.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. And I
read
like
the Bible more, Bambi.
That's
right. Listen to my mama.
Listen to mom. At the end of the paragraph, it says, if we are now about to ask for forgiveness for ourselves, why shouldn't we start out by forgiving them, one and all? And it's true, right? Like, how many times, God, forgive me for what I've done. God, I'm sorry for this, or, hey, honey, I'm sorry I pissed you off. Hey, but why not ask for, for forgiveness for everybody, for them, right?
Yes.
For everybody,
And don't you think
it's
that
important.
the term dry drunk, this is kind of like, if you don't get the forgiveness part right, you can work the steps, but you still remain that bitter, angry person.
Absolutely. This is totally plays into the dry drunk thing. That's a great comment, because
I love
it incredibly because they don't get that spiritual healing.
Yep.
And they lack, they carry those resentments and anger towards others. And that's all stems from fear. Right. But again, looking at people with a compassionate eye and offering up forgiveness or giving forgiveness is about your healing, has nothing to do with saying that their behavior was right or accepting it in any way.
Yep.
It's just forgiving, being willing to forgive them that for my own self, my own conscience.
For our own good, own good, and guys, here's the thing. It's for our own good, for the good of others later on, because if I'm healing, I'm not going to piss off others. I'm not going to do this again. Once you do these steps, they, like Tiffany said, once I'm doing my 10th step, I shouldn't be doing too much of my 8th and 9th step. I should be just kind of turn it down. But if you're, like Bambi said, a dry drunk, you're going to constantly you might not be drinking. You're constantly be pissing people off. You're constantly going to be upset. You're constantly living in fear. You're constantly doing things that maybe you shouldn't be doing as a recovering alcoholic.
Because they're going to live in you.
They're going to live in you. Absolutely. 100%. So, so that's a good paragraph. Yeah, Tiff or Bambi, if you want to read on, page
Tiff's doing
78.
All right.
I learned from her reading.
Yes.
When listing the people we have harmed, most of us hit another solid obstacle. We got a pretty severe shock when we realized that we were preparing to make face-to-face admission of our wretched conduct to those we had hurt. It has been embarrassing enough when in confidence we had admitted these things to God, to ourselves, and to another human being. But the prospect of actually visiting or even writing the people concerned now overwhelmed us, especially when we remembered in what poor favor we stood in most of them. There were cases too where we had damaged others who were still happily unaware of being hurt. Why, we cried, shouldn't bygones be bygones? Why do we have to think of these people at all? These were some of the ways in which fear conspired with pride to hinder our making a list of all the people we had harmed. Remember, we're just making a list of all the people we had harmed, whether they knew we harmed them or not. This is not like remember, step 9 is different. We don't go out and intentionally hurt people that didn't know that we had done something wrong. But this is making the list. It's part of our healing journey. And it's not about letting bygones be bygones.
Nope.
We have to take into consideration and accept the behaviors that we had conducted in the ways we conducted ourselves.
And it's about making ourselves also aware so we don't do this again. Because if we don't make ourselves aware of whatever it might be, we can do this again thinking there's nothing wrong with it. So if you think, maybe the cashier, whatever, you didn't, whatever, I don't know, but you have to kind of figure that out and make sure we don't do it again, Yes,
because you're going to find a pattern.
Yeah.
You might do that.
Yes.
You might have pissed off 25 cashiers in your life. Well, then you know what? The next time you go to the damn grocery store or the gas station, you better be bringing a gift card or to some random cashier, right? Because we're not going to do that behavior going forward.
No. And here's another thing about that. All right. So not even pissing off a cashier. So this was kind of my self-will run riot in a part of my life that I didn't even realize I was doing it. For years. You guys know I'm an avid runner. I love running. I love getting out there. And I love saying hi to people, right? I love saying hi to people when I'm running. Well, let me tell you, some people don't like to say hi back, right? Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Back and forth. And somebody doesn't say hi. Motherfucker, you didn't say hi to me? Who the fuck do you think you are, right? And the next one. And day after day, week after week, run after run, mile after mile. Do you know what that does when you let that eat up inside you?
Yeah.
And you think that everybody that doesn't say hi to you, just because Ed's saying hi, doesn't mean that everybody can say hi. They have to say hi back, right? And I can't hold the resentment, I can't hold a grudge, and I can't be pissed off at them. I can't go make amends to everybody that didn't say hi to me because I'm cursing them up and down, but I gotta recognize that pattern, just like you said, Tiff,
Right.
and then write it down and then be done with it, because I don't
Yes.
need to do that anymore.
Right. And I
Make
think
an
it's
amend, burn
important
that
to-
shit up.
Right. And it's important for us to just know that this step is a willingness to make amends to all those people. You're going to go over with your sponsor on
course.
step 9,
Yeah.
who and how that amends is made.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you just have to open your heart, and it's that willingness with you and God that I will do whatever it takes.
Yep.
Yeah, Bambi, you're right. This is not where you finish your list and you go run out the door. Hey, I'm
Right.
going to go apologize to everybody. Whoa, slow
No,
down.
no,
slow down. There are steps to these steps, and yes,
Right.
absolutely.
But it's
step
hard
9.
to just be willing to God, I mean, to yourself, to know that I know I did this, and to make that resolution in your mind that, hey, I did it. I have to do something about it. Now, how you go about it comes later, but just to know in your mind that you're willing, that word willing again, it's
Yes.
important.
I love this next paragraph too.
Well, one
go
other thing
ahead.
I just want to talk. It says preparing to make a because people don't realize this. This is the easy part, right? The writing the names down is somewhat of the easy part. Step 9 is the hard part. And again, we can't go out. Like I said, we can't go out running and just go apologize willy nilly to everybody. We have to think these 2 steps through thoroughly. Okay. Fearlessly and thoroughly. So here it says preparing to make a face-to-face admission of our wretched conduct, guys, wretched conduct. Seriously, to those who we have hurt.
I really was a wretched person.
I know, me too.
I was too.
I know.
Man.
So we got to
fucking
be
bad.
careful. We got to be careful. We can, on this side of this step, on the 8th side of this step, we can reveal that, talk about it, make, again, cleaning our side of the street out. But again, when we get into step 9, we'll talk a little bit more on how that's kind of performed. But
and just because I'm not a wretched person today doesn't make all those things that you just talk about go away.
No,
don't go away. We have to clean up by being willing to make this list and do
absolutely,
that.
Absolutely. Read on, Tiff. You're where 79.
Yeah, 79. The second paragraph.
Some of us.
Some of us. Okay, so it says some of us, and I know these people too, and it's not me, of course. Some of us, though, tripped over a very different snag. We clung to the claim that when drinking, we never hurt anybody but ourselves. Our families didn't suffer because we always paid the bills and seldom drank at home. Our business associates didn't suffer because they were usually on the job. Our reputations hadn't suffered because our reputations hadn't suffered because we were certain few knew of our drinking. That was me. Those who did would sometimes assure us that, after all, a lively bender was only a good man's fault. What real harm, therefore, had we done? No more surely than we could easily mend with a few casual apologies.
No, this was me.
I thought I didn't get in trouble. I was a professional. I was this. I did that, right?
See, I was off work and it was the heart of COVID. So COVID had just started. So I drank at home. I didn't go out. I was off work, wasn't hurting anyone but myself. And I tried to live that way for a year and a half until I actually started working the program, but that was so me.
Yes. And thinking I wasn't, just because I was doing it to myself, I wasn't hurting anybody else, was such a selfish, self-centered way of thinking. I couldn't see, I was so blinded, and nobody knew, right? Because I wasn't leaving the house anymore and wasn't hanging my ass out and never got in trouble. Bullshit.
Or me being in the bar, not hurting anybody. I just sat there and did my own thing. When I was a bar fly, I sat by myself, didn't talk to anybody. I just did what I needed to do there. I came home within a reasonable amount of time. towards not towards the end, it was all fucked up at the end, but
Yeah.
you know, I really didn't hurt anybody, right? I didn't think so, but the
That's
money
what
was,
I thought too.
yeah, the money was dwindling down. The time with the kids weren't there. You know, maybe the attitude was beefing up a little bit.
Work
Yeah.
performance,
Yeah,
all
work
sorts of different
performance.
things.
Yeah, yeah. This paragraph where it says, I have this highlighted. It says our families didn't suffer. Bullshit, because we always paid the bills. Seldom drank at home, right? Bullshit. We hid it when we seldomly drank at home. Business associates didn't suffer. Bullshit, because they had to deal with our headaches in the morning, that had to deal with us coming in late, maybe not performing right, you know.
Yep.
You know, I believe that's our perception of what we think.
Yep.
And then when we get on the other side and we're sober and clean, we look back at it all. Holy crap, man.
Mm-hmm.
That was our alcoholic perception.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
that
our
was our
alcoholic
alcoholic
perception. Yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know, I didn't get in trouble. I never
No.
got any DWIs. I never got anything taken away. I never got arrested. I never went to jail. I never got caught. You know, bullshit.
Yeah,
Oh my
right.
God.
I know. And then you know, the few casual apologies. That's the, hey man, I'm sorry. I was really fucked up last night, and you know, you can understand that, right, Tiff? Come on, baby, you've been there before. Yeah, I know. Meanwhile, the fucking car's damaged. The fucking, you know, money's gone out of the account.
People get trapped here, don't you, Ed?
Oh yeah.
People get trapped here. I see people get trapped here all the time, and it's astounding to me. It's like, what do you mean nobody knew? You're still thinking that today? We better go back a few steps.
Everybody knows, guys. I hate to tell you, everybody knows. Unless you're a loner, you live in an apartment by yourself, you have no friends, no family, you were just put on this earth, dropped into this apartment, and booze was put in front of you. That's the only way, I believe, that nobody knows.
All the time I spent thinking about how I was going to get my next drink, how I was going to get money, my next fix, my next nothing. And I should have been, you know, paying attention to other things and worrying about other stuff, you know.
Hell, my dogs knew.
Oh yeah. Animals know. Yeah.
Everybody knew.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's deeper than what you think. And especially if you haven't done this step yet, seriously, it's deeper than what you think. And it's not a bad thing, guys. It's not a bad thing. It's a thing that we're recognizing. It's a thing that's going to heal us. Like Tiff said earlier, this is the step that's going to push us forward. This is a step that's going to move us into, like, after 9, 10, 11, and 12, we're helping people now. We're helping people, right? This is where we're transformed, right? We're transformed. Like after these 2 steps, we're transformed. And we can legitimately help people after these 2 steps. Of course, we're helping people all along of our journey, but this is where, again, I always say this, the rubber meets the road for helping people too. You know what I mean? After we get done with these 2 steps.
And once we, you know, we're also in a better position to help ourselves.
Yeah.
By really, you know, assessing our behaviors and what we've done in an honest way. Because it says this attitude, of course.
Your daily, you know, you can do your daily.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do a daily account if you haven't taken care of the other stuff.
No,
right.
No, not at all.
Because you'll just become more acceptable of your behavior and your character defects and the things that you're doing wrong. That'll just become more acceptable in the norm, and you're not doing the right thing.
Well, but you won't. Your character defects won't be pointed out by somebody.
And it's purposeful forgetting, like it says in here. You're purposefully forgetting, the way we purposely forgot how much we drank and how much it affected everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote that on the top of the page. We're purposely forgetting about it. And that's the next paragraph. You want to...
Purposeful forgetting is what this attitude is called. It's an attitude which can only be changed by a deep and honest search of our motives and our actions. Though in some cases, we cannot make restitution at all. And in some cases, action ought to be deferred. We should nevertheless make an accurate and really exhaustive survey of our past life as it has affected other people. In many instances, we shall find that though the harm done others has not been great, the emotional harm we have done ourselves has. Very deep, sometimes quite forgotten, damaging emotional conflicts persist below the level of consciousness. At the time of these occurrences, they may actually have given our emotions violent twists which have since discolored our personalities and altered our lives for the worse. So there it is, folks. Even if it's deep in our conscience, you know, where I always say this too, where I allowed myself to get to this disrespectful, animalistic level of myself, right? That was messing with my conscience, right? Creating emotional violent twists, and it altered my personality and it altered my views. And I don't want my life to, I need to remember that damage. I need to remember and recognize it so that I can let that go and move on, heal those wounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if I didn't hurt anyone.
Yeah. And we're gonna wrap up here because this is really good stuff, but we also need some stuff for the next couple of shows. But but here I want to talk about this. Sometimes quite forgetting damaging emotional conflicts persist below the level of consciousness, right? And you were just talking about that, Tiff. But we don't even know we're doing harm sometimes. Right? We don't even know that because it's been so automatic,
it's a natural part of our being,
or a natural part of our being, like lying, right? Lying. I still to this day, guys, unconsciously, you know, how far did you run today? 5 miles. Well, guys, I ran 4 miles today. And I will still say to this day, I'll always add an extra mile in, or always add this. And so when you're talking to me, if you ask how long I run, probably figure out one less mile, but it's just unconscious, you know. And I have that
instinct to do that, to say that I went to Target versus the
Walmart.
Who the fuck cares? Why? It's that behavior, that pattern that's in our subconscious. Sitting there, and we need to fix those patterns. We need to fix those and heal that area of our brain.
Absolutely. And it comes back sometimes, but that's what these steps are for. We have to keep going through this. And I just want to bring up that unconscious level of, you know, I still have it, guys. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. And I don't lie about, you know, spending money on cocaine and telling I had to have the car fixed or whatever the bullshit stories are. It's little things, but even those little things kind of hurt too. Kind of you have to kind of just get through it. You know, just talk about it. That's what all this is about. That's why we're on here talking. That's why we get out here and want you guys to listen, and then take these conversations that you hear on here and go talk to somebody about it. Hey, I heard this, I heard that, I heard about step 8.
You're not the only one. You're not a bad person. It's okay. It's just life. It's part of the process. It's part of being an addict and an alcoholic. It's part of our behaviors. That's part of how we grew up.
That's why that Golden Gate Bridge never gets finished all the way, right?
That's right.
Why we get to the end of it and we start right back over again.
This is the important part about us talking about the traditions every month too. The traditions remind us we are not alone. We are not alone. We have a people, right? That are like us and like-minded, and it's okay to talk about that stuff.
It is. And nobody's going to come down on us. Nobody's going to say you're a bad person because you know what? My sponsor did it. His sponsor did. Each one of us on here experienced it. You know, when you said Target versus Walmart, like I understand that, like, you know, because my drug dealer used to be near maybe Target, and now I'm telling her I'm anything. Walmart, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Could be such nonsense, you know, just even where are you at right now, and saying that I'm 5 miles closer to home than I really am, you know, like, why do I, you know, but the important piece is going forward through all this is that, you can clear that stuff up. You can stop yourself right away. You know, that's bullshit. I can't believe I just said that to you. I'm actually really here. You know,
this is where I'm at. And and you know what? And it becomes easier once you start doing that. And then it becomes less that you start doing that. So ladies, we're going to end the show here because this was amazing. I hope the audience got a lot out of this because I sure did, man. I mean, when we started talking about step 8, I'm like, what, you know me with my self-doubt, what are we going to talk about? Step 8, we're just writing a list. That's all we're doing. Well, it's a little bit deeper than writing a list.
That's why when you sent that message, I was like, Ed, we have a lot to talk about. This is a big deal.
I know. Oh, Skylar's on here. Tiff, love your new podcast space, sis. And yes, it is nice. Look at Tiffany's background, everybody. If you're on YouTube, Skylar did point that out. It looks great. So
I can cover up my messy office.
That's
Yes.
your real home, right, Tiff?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It looks like this all the time with our large family and giant dog.
Yes, and Bear on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there, I think is our new sponsor. See the little bear down there?
Oh, yeah.
Anyways,
yes. If
but
you like that paint color,
Maybe in
you
the
can go get the
future.
bear paint color.
yes, that's right. That's right. Ladies, before we close, any thoughts on step 8? Anything that you'd want to talk about or clear up? I think we cleared a lot of things up, you know, the little white lies, the big, huge, crazy lies, whatever they were. I know I feel really good after this step. I mean, after talking about this step and especially here on the podcast too, talking to you ladies about it. But how about you? How about you ladies?
I feel good. I still have questions, but I'm waiting. I want to get through because maybe we'll answer them as we go through even more in depth. So.
Mm-hmm. And next week, don't forget, we have Jeff Zazel on, guys. He's going to answer a lot of the questions, like, you know, from that therapist's point of view that, you know, we as lay people and just addicts and alcoholics may not be able to understand, but maybe he can answer some of these questions that we have also. So
I love me some Jeff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Tiff, are you good? Everything's good with you?
Yeah, it's good. I love this step because, you know, it's about emotional security and peace of mind. And I was a very fragile person like many others, and I really needed this
Absolutely.
step.
Yeah.
So.
Well, ladies, thank you very much. Don't forget to join us on our Friends in Recovery community Facebook page, friendsinrecoveryenterprises.org. Come make a donation there. Send us, donations through Venmo under Friends in Recovery Enterprises under business. Please, we're self-supporting. Please, we need the donations whenever you can, whatever you can.
Share.
Share. Get the word out, and stop by one of our meetings too. If you think you like this, get on one of our meetings because Bambi's on, Tiff's on. Well, Tiff's not on a lot now anymore because of her crazy life, but everybody's on, and it's just an amazing community. The other thing about these steps and about this program is that we become part of a community. We don't have to be alone anymore. Please join our Friends in Recovery community. Join us every week here on Tuesdays when the new show comes out, or if you want to see it before the new show comes out, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're on here like clockwork. Well, most of the time we try to be. But please join us, and this is going to heal your recovery. Only thing I can say, ladies, is stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.